with John Brown and Nick Durst, live on the UCY.TV network.
Hey, welcome back to Spam, Sports, Politics, and More. I'm your host, John Brown, and I'm joined tonight with a special guest host, our normal field reporters brought into the studio. Andrew, are you there?
Yes, I am, John. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. So on the ride home today, I got to listen to Trump's speech with the Mexican president. So that was good. So I, a little entertainment on the way home. Other than that, just sort of working all the time. We just launched a new website, so work's been a little crazy. How about you?
I've been busy, obviously, with my work. And obviously, I made a big video for my YouTube page this week. I talk about how Nancy Pelosi will actually be House Speaker again. So if you want to see that video, I'm going to post it on Friday. Andy's randomness on YouTube.
Okay, great. Sounds like a plan. So, Andrew, tell me, how much Trump news have you been on lately? Because there's been a lot of craziness. The last week, the polls, we've seen a complete shift, even though that the pollers are complete bullshit because they're oversampling Democrats. They're moving the goalposts, and they still can't win. So, the idea that this, election is going to be a landslide for Hillary is total bullshit. So, over the last, let's say week since the last time we talked, what do you think is the biggest story in politics right now?
Well, obviously, I have to agree with you that the polls have definitely been changing. I have been keeping an eye on it, especially how last week. Now, considering that, I was listening to Rush Limbaugh on Friday, he made a good point about how the polls are changing because Donald Trump was talking about, the minority vote. And considering that this week is a whole other big issue on the immigration speech, Hillary's numbers keep dropping. I keep seeing one poll that says that he has 3 points ahead to catch up to Hillary, and I saw another poll, I think this was yesterday, and it said that Trump had a 2-point lead in North Carolina. So the people who think Hillary is going to win by a landslide, you are completely lunacidal.
So, what they're trying to do, because, right now, polls in August for a presidential election don't have anything to do about science or about, stating what, feeling the pulse of the American people. It's to try to sway the people. In reality, when polls come out like this, and we saw it quite a bit in Great Britain right before the Brexit vote to leave the EU, the pollers will literally just, finagle. Data is such a weird thing. If you shift it here and there and you look at it from a different premise and you sort of use different measuring sticks, you can really make the data seem like whatever you want. You can make it seem like however you want. You can tell any story that you want. So, the idea that these, the media, who is obviously, completely partisan and completely biased against Trump, and this isn't some right-wing conspiracy. I'm not some nutcase. I get my information on this from WikiLeaks. The WikiLeaks emails from the DNC hack say, they show you, one instance, a writer for the website Politico, he's sending people at the DNC articles before he publishes them. I thought you're supposed to be a watchdog. I thought journalism was supposed to call people out for this kind of stuff, not be part of it. And then, another example of the media being, completely biased for Clinton, Debbie Wasserman-Schultz calls a program director for Morning Joe. And Morning Joe, who during the beginning of this entire process was, a Trump supporter, does a complete 180 and starts killing Trump all the time. You think that's, happenstance? There's an email where Debbie Wasserman-Schultz says that she calls the program director to pull a segment about Hillary being corrupt. It's so funny that we're inside baseball. We're seeing what's going on, and what I see is disgusting. And, people that want to put on blinders for it are, they're not living in reality. So one of the big things that I saw this week, my biggest story this week, has to be the Hillary Clinton health stuff. So, Andrew, what do you know about her accusations that her health is no good?
Well, before I get into the health thing, overall, the Democratic Party is basically rigged. We don't really need to get into that right now. But in terms of Hillary's health, I've been aware of what's been going on, and I saw a meme on Facebook the past week, and it showed Hillary getting on a step trying to get into, one of her vehicles, obviously. And that made me think to myself, well, wait a second. This woman needs a stool just to get into her SUV? That makes me suspicious at the end of the day.
So there's tons of that. Like, unlike in the past when, we had, in American history, we've had presidents like FDR is a great example where he had MS and he was in a wheelchair and, the Secret Service and everybody really, they did everything they could to hide that. With smartphones and social media, everything's out there. So, when she can't stand and she needs a stool, or when she refuses to give press conferences, and, when she does get a microphone interface, she has like weird convulsions. But honestly, you can sort of play a lot of that off. I think the smoking gun is when she gives credence to these things. When she goes on Jimmy Kimmel and talks about her health being a conspiracy, listen, if it was an actual conspiracy, you wouldn't even talk about it. The fact that you had to show us that it's a conspiracy by opening a jar of pickles is bullshit. Just gives it weight. It gives it credence. And I honestly think that her idea that she can take a knee this entire time is another show sign that she doesn't have the stamina, that she doesn't have what Trump has. That Trump is. If you follow him on Twitter, you can see his Twitter handle tweeting at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then at 6 o'clock in the morning, he's calling Fox and Friends. The guy he's incredibly energetic. The pulse that his guy has is insane. And Hillary, we got the complete opposite. We got this weirdo guy, following around with what looks like an EpiPen sort of kind of thing, but who knows? They all deny. But then I think the real smoking gun is Dr. Drew, whose show got canceled after he said that Hillary Clinton needs to get her a full workup. So he's a medical doctor. He's on TV. Obviously he's daytime television nonsense, but he's very popular. He's not a Trump guy at all whatsoever. You wouldn't call him a crazy Trump conspiracy, but he even sniffs the idea that there might be something wrong with a 70-year-old woman who had a blood clot in her head literally 2-3 years ago. It's insane. Of course, her health is a concern. Why would it not be? And I think that you're right, though. The little telltale signs, she needs a step stool to get into a car? How sickly is she?
Well, we got a comment in the chat from our big fan, Otto von Bolshevik, saying, "Pickle vacuum never popped. It was pre-opened."
Yeah, so Otto, shout out to you, man. Thanks for listening. I know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about Alex Jones and the Infowars, who I'm a big fan of. Andrew, I don't know if you have the TuneIn Radio app, but not only can you listen to our show on that app, you can also listen to Alex Jones' show and the entire Infowar network. And one of the things he did was he showed you the type of mic that she was wearing on Jimmy Kimmel, and then he got like all these different jars of pickles, different brands and stuff. And then he opened them and he showed you that the reason jars of pickles are hard to open when you first open them is because they're vacuum sealed, and that's what makes the pop noise when you open them. And he did this, and obviously you could hear the pop when he's doing them, but for whatever reason you couldn't hear it with Hillary's. And obviously this is a crazy thing to argue about, whatever. But I think it really does show you that. Listen, she won't give a press conference, but she wants to answer questions about her health, so she goes on to a late night comedy show and then does some comedy nonsense. In reality, why not just go, there's nothing wrong with my health. Let me do a press conference. I'll take all the questions you want. Instead, she hides and hides and hides. She's hiding something.
Well, this is getting completely out of hand, considering that I have the number in front of me right now. Hillary Clinton has not had a press conference in 269 days. Do you know that sounds ridiculous to the average voter listening to this show right now?
It really does. It really, really does. And they kill Donald Trump about everything, because even Fox News, who I guess they're the better of two evils, but honestly, other than Sean Hannity, everyone on there is just as bad as all the talking dickheads on CNN. That Shepard Smith guy. Ugh, he's the worst. He's the worst. He might as well just wear a Hillary T-shirt. And I think it shows you that he's a real game changer. The reason that we don't get change in this country is because we don't really have two parties. There's no opposition party that can check the other party when they get too strong. The Washington establishment put out left and right, Republican, Democrat. But in reality, they're more of a mush in the middle, and they want each other's back. They don't want status quo to change. They want special interest groups to be able to pour money into lobbyists and all this other stuff, which is just a breeding ground for corruption. Hey, hold on one sec. We have a call.
Oh, let's find out who it is. If we're still on the air, if you do want to call in, the number is 718-717-8296. If you want to tweet us on
Andrew, can you hear us? All right, we got to call him back. So Nick's calling us, but like always, we have a pain in the ass thing going on here. So I'm calling Nick. Hopefully he'll be able to give us a live update of the Met game, what's going on out there in Citi Field.
I actually have the update.
Let's see. Hello? Yes, what's up?
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
Who's this?
This is UCY Radio. Who is this?
Oh, what's up, guys? This is Nick. This is
other
Nick Durst.
What's up, other Nick Durst? What's going on, man?
Hello.
Not too much. Are you guys live right now?
Yeah, we're actually trying to add other Nick Durst onto the show right now.
Oh.
Yeah, he's actually giving us an update from the Met game. He's at the Met game, but you are in the radio thing as Nick Durst.
Oh well. All right. Well, have a good show tonight, guys.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, see ya.
Thanks a lot. Oh, you want to hear something crazy? There's actually another Andrew Pollack, believe it or not.
No way.
Yeah, he works for the New York Times.
What?
You can Google it. I'm not kidding. For our listeners who are curious, there is another Andrew Pollack. He works at the New York Times, and he covers science. And most of his articles are pretty interesting. So if you want to check it out, Google my name. I won't come up, but his name will probably come up. And we would love to have him on the show, obviously. All right, so I don't think we're on yet.
We're on. We're live.
Well, that's I mean, we keep going in and out.
Yeah, you know what it is? I'm trying to add Nick to the show. Hold on one second.
I'm trying to get a game cast of the game right now because I do know the score. I know what's going on in the game at least.
Yeah, I just hope that I'm not calling the other Nick Durst again.
Oh boy, please! I mean, no disrespect, but we need the Bleacher Report Nick Durst on right now.
I know. I'm trying to get him on here. You know, the setup we got on this radio ain't the best.
Don't
Your
blame
call has been
UCY.
forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 9145847.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we're trying to get him out here, but it's we're having some technical difficulties here at the station. So Nick, if you hear us, try to call back, and I'll try to get you back in. I'm actually calling you back. Let's see.
Oh, that's very odd.
Anyway, so tell us. So Andrew, who do you honestly think is going to be like the direct players in Trump's cabinet?
Well, I think Chris Christie has to be one guy considered to be Attorney General. I think Ben Carson's obviously going to be the Surgeon General, obviously.
Call has been forwarded to an automatic.
Now, what do you think? This is my thing. I'm worried. I'm really, really worried that, you know, if something happens to Hillary prior to the election, they'll try to pull some shenanigans where they push back the election or some other BS. What do you think would happen if, just say, Hillary croaked, on stage during the debate?
Well, first of all, many people don't know that the first debate, will be on September 25th at Hofstra University, and I actually know a couple of my personal friends who go to Hofstra, and they have been invited to go to the debate, obviously. And the thing is, I just don't want to see Hillary look goofy on stage overall, because if she's going to slip up on that stage, Trump is going to bash her. I guarantee it.
Oh, absolutely. Here's the thing. Hillary is really great at staying on message when, one of her speechwriters writes something, for her. And that's why she has that cadence where she sounds like she's yelling. So, if you can get her off that message, she completely locks up. The Hillary robot will just get a complete doot error, and you could just completely mess her up. If anybody out there wants to see an example of this, go on YouTube and search Black Lives Matter protester asked Hillary about bring them the heel statement. So Hillary's at this event, and she's doing her pandering bullshit like she always is about hot sauce in her purse and stuff. And then, this protester comes up and puts her on the spot about something she said in the 90s about the crime bill that, in reality, that crime bill was really bad. And with economics, it put a whole generation of people in our country in prison. The real problem with our prisons, and they need tons of reform, is the fact that they're privatized. So they're making money off people going to jail. And that all stems right from the Clinton 93 crime bill. But she said that African-American males are super predators, and we can find out what's wrong with them, but first we got to bring them the heel. And as soon as she, that was obviously not scripted, as soon as it was reality and not scripted, she had, nothing to say. And, her security, pushed in and, completely got it out of there. That's why she doesn't want to give a press conference, because she's lied so much about the Clinton Foundation and about her illegal emails and all this other shit that she knows that if she goes to a press conference and somebody who's an actual journalist asks her some hard questions, she will and either A, lie some more and take a really big hit for that, or B, show her hand that she doesn't know what the hell she's doing because she's, essentially a senile old woman. But, the whole scenario is just crazy for me. I've never been this engaged in an election before, though. I got to tell you that. Now, Andrew, did you hear about the Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's top aide?
Hang on for a second. I gotta play something.
We aren't going to raise taxes on the middle class.
That's one of Hillary Clinton's slip-ups, everybody. Just remember that.
Oh, is that the same speech where she told coal miners she's going to put them out of business?
Yes! How stupid is this woman?
She's so stupid.
Anyway, on to Uma Abedin. I am aware of the whole Anthony Weiner situation from the start, and I mentioned on the pre-show earlier on Periscope that I actually met Anthony Weiner. So, John,
No way.
want to hear the story?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying in the pre-show earlier that the 9th Congressional District here in Fresh Meadows was represented by Anthony Weiner, and in 2008, I was actually able to meet Anthony Weiner on Election Day, and right when me and my dad were going into the poll, I shook Mr. Weiner's hand, and I said, "Good morning, Mr. Weiner, how are you?" And he told me, "Great to be here." And he just walked in and voted, obviously. And, yeah, that's how I met Anthony Weiner. But in terms of the whole sexting story, obviously, third time, let me tell you, it's completely out of hand. Every day, unfortunately, I've been seeing the front cover of the New York Post, obviously. It's been 3 straight days of this garbage showing Anthony Weiner obviously sexting yet again for the 3rd time, and basically his own child was in one of the photos. Keep that in mind. And yesterday, clever thinking by the people over at the New York Post to say that, Uma was going to cut him off, obviously. And, I honestly feel that when she found out about this, it basically made her snap and basically made her realize, okay, even though I'm dealing with this corruption for the Hillary Clinton, campaign, obviously, I don't need this pervert to make everything worse if Hillary becomes president.
Yeah, honestly, I think this is a great time to make a comparison. So a lot of people in the media gave Donald Trump all kinds of shit for firing Corey Lewandowski and getting Manafort forward, and now moving away from Manafort and getting someone else. So I think that's a great example of, hey, Hillary, Huma Abedin, she's married to this Anthony Weiner jerk-off who has, he's a sex-addict deviant, who's, always running his mouth, and he's in the public eye, and he's a real piece of work. He's sexting pictures on the internet with this kid in his bed. It's disgusting. The guy's a pervert. So,
and keep in mind, the front cover of the New York Post was showing this. A major newspaper in New York was showing this.
As they should, and that's their journalistic duty to show that kind of stuff. Because listen,
I can't blame them.
Yeah, this guy wants to run for mayor of New York City. Not anymore. But getting back to my point about comparison, hey, Hillary, maybe it's time to fire Huma. She not only the Anthony Weiner, fiasco, but her mom is involved in a radical Islamic journal that she writes, which Huma Abedin was the associate editor for years. And inside this journal, they promote Sharia law, female circumcision, which is, it's actually female gender, what do they call it? Female genital mutilation. Essentially what they do is they cut off the top of the vagina so that sex isn't pleasurable for women. So you have this Muslim woman who writes all of this crazy stuff. She's a Muslim extremist. That's this woman's mother. Her husband's a sexual deviant who's all in the tabloids and the newspapers. Obviously, it's a distraction. And now that we're getting these emails from Huma Abedin, from not only the email leaks, but now the State Department's actually releasing some of them. She mishandled, classified documents. It comes, all of the negative things you could say about Hillary, you could say right back to Huma Abedin. And Hillary can't just say, oh, I didn't know what she was doing, blah, 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 blah. Hillary went to Saudi Arabia in 2011. You can look it up on YouTube and watch the audio. And she speaks out where she says, we need to correct the false stereotype that Saudi Arabia mistreats women. Like, are you crazy? And then she has the audacity to play the woman card that she's a feminist out for women's rights. She's, like she has no actual moral compass whatsoever. And in reality, she should fire Huma Abedin if for any good politician would have, but she won't. And I think that brings us back to the Clinton Foundation. It all comes full circle. So Andrew, have you seen Clinton Cash yet? It's on YouTube. It's an hour long and it's free. You can watch it whenever you want.
That's actually on my watch list. The other movie that's on my watch list, obviously, is the Anthony Weiner documentary. And I really got to start watching my political documentaries because I'm getting too carried away considering that Stranger Things is another thing I have on my watch list, obviously.
Oh, love it, love it. Stranger Things was phenomenal. Me and my wife, we binge-watched the whole series in a week. Really, really loved it. It brought me right back, man. I felt like I was in the 80s. That was a phenomenal show. But getting back to this the Clinton Foundation thing, have you heard that now Bill Clinton says that if Hillary wins, they'll step away from the foundation. But why didn't she step away from the foundation?
Keep in mind, I have something very important to say about the Clinton Foundation, is that I found this out when I was in Connecticut 2 weeks ago, and they said that the Clinton Foundation will not be taking any more donations from corporate donors. That makes me suspicious.
That's my thing. If you're saying you no longer take donations from foreign interests and corporate interests, why didn't you do that when you were Secretary of State, who's essentially about the fourth in line in political power? So obviously there's something there. Obviously it's inappropriate. The Obama administration made you sign a declaration saying that you wouldn't mix the two, but now that we're looking through your phone logs and your emails, we can tell that there absolutely is. And the State Department and the Justice Department, Loretta Lynch, don't even get me started on that piece of work, they're actively trying to shield her right now because they're not releasing her schedule. Because the schedule would show you exactly who she was meeting with. And I think that's the smoking gun. Because if you see her schedule, you'll see exactly where she was doing every day. And there's a direct correlation in the timeline of people donate money to the Clinton Foundation, they meet Hillary Clinton, and then all of a sudden they get off the no-fly list, or they get they get rights to cut down trees in Brazil. They get all kinds of crazy access and government favors, and all they have to do is donate money to the Clinton Foundation. It's money laundering. It's selling access. It's a disgrace, honestly.
This is the whole Clinton campaign's idea. Basically, what they say is, and I heard it from Mike Gallagher this morning, he said it clearly the best way that he could. Basically, you will not be able to meet Hillary Clinton unless you donate money to her campaign. And the whole campaign overall is just messed up. And the thing is, Hillary is crooked. Hillary is a dirty capitalist. You can call her every name in the book. But at the end of the day, the American people will continue to dislike her.
Yeah. There's something to be said about that. And
Hello.
Nick, what's going on, Nick?
You're calling it a big time here. We got bases loaded. Nobody out. Bartolo Colon up at bat.
Oh.
Yes, I'm actually keeping an eye on it myself, believe it or not, on MSN Sports.
Come on, big.
Oh, boy, I can hear what's going on right now. This is great radio.
So, tell us the pitch count, Nick.
The pitcher having a mound visit right now, but they're very rattled by the fact that Bartolo is about to bat with the bases loaded. The Mets are in this pennant race. It's rather crazy here. It's not too many fans here, though. But I will tell you this. Every fan here did stand the national anthem.
Good.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
Now, Nick, tell us that. Tell us your insight on what do you think Colin Kaepernick's actual motivation was?
After
Hello? Yeah, Nick, what's going on?
All right, I really can't hear anything you're saying. The fans here are going crazy. And Bartolo lines into a triple play, or a double play, rather. I don't know what the hell just happened. It's going to be a triple play, but the Marlins are being idiots right now. And, there's not 2 outs.
That's unfortunate.
Well, Nick's cell phone
Yep,
is
and now Jose
acting
Reyes
up,
is up.
obviously.
So Nick, what are you having to eat there tonight? Hello. Hello.
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah,
This is
so
the radio.
we lost Nick. It's
be
a
happy to
show,
recap.
regardless. Never mind from City Field.
I'll be happy to recap what has gone on in this game. Basically, the only action that's happened in this game right now has happened in the second inning. I'll recap it because I do have the play-by-play here. Let's see. The only big play that I know happened was that the Mets were down 1-0 in the second, and Wilmer Flores hit a 2-run home run. Granderson was on base before, and then Flores homered on a 1-1 count, obviously.
Nice. Okay, so keep us posted on the score if there's any scoring change there. But so before we get completely away from politics, I'll ask you the question that we couldn't get out of Nick because of phone issues. What do you think about Colin Kaepernick not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Well, can you hang on for a sec? You give your opinion first.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I think about it. I think it is a completely lazy attempt at being controversial to try to help his career, notoriety, whatever you want to call it. You know, if this would have been the first game of the season or, you know, the first game after Michael Brown or something on the lines of that would have happened. If there would have been some event that would have sparked this protest, then I could have sort of understood it. I still wouldn't have agreed with it because, listen, the government, quote unquote, the man, whatever you want to think that you think, you know, is out to get you or, you know, not treating you right, that has nothing to do with not showing respect for the, you know, the men and women who fought and died so you can make millions of dollars to play a game. So I think there's ways to protest. I don't think that's the right way. But even if he was doing the same thing and it was a little different, I completely understand it to a point. The fact is, it was just like out of the blue, and it was like the third preseason game. Why didn't he do it in the first 2 preseason games? You know, what sparked this? I honestly think that it's really disingenuous. I think the writing's on the wall that Chip Kelly was going to go in a different direction, and he wanted to, you know, essentially do this thing. So now he's untradeable. You can't trade him, and you know they're going to have to cut him if. I honestly think that Colin Kaepernick didn't want to sit on the bench all year because when you sit on the bench all year, you essentially that's it. You know what I mean? Like your days as a starter are now numbered. He wanted out of San Francisco, and he wanted it out on San Francisco on his own terms. He didn't want to get traded to like the Browns. So he made himself super toxic, you know, and he became a news story. Because when the press actually pushed him for some details, he couldn't really come up with anything else other than America's racist. Like, hey, Colin, you're half white, first off. Second off, your parents wouldn't raise you. You were put up for adoption, and then 2 white people adopted you. Like, your rage against the white man doesn't make any sense. It's like completely out of left field. This is just bullshit.
I have to completely agree with you, obviously. And the thing is, you know, I just felt that Kaepernick was being completely disrespectful to our national anthem, considering that our American values represent the American flag and what it stands for. The American flag basically stands for, you know, how can I really say it? The American flag stands for freedom, okay? Plain simple. And it also stands for being united as one. And the problem is when the national anthem is being played, you are, even if you're an athlete or not, you are supposed to respect our country's tradition and stand to make sure that we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. I have looked at the lyrics completely myself. There are 4 verses of the Star Spangled Banner, obviously. And the first verse that we use, obviously, all the time, I don't see anything racist about it.
There's nothing. Like, that's the thing. If this was a protest about changing the national anthem or there was something about it, then I could understand it. But it's not. And I think Colin Kaepernick, I think this is really the crux of the issue with Black Lives Matters, is they buy into the media bullshit of Black Americans and white Americans. And the idea that they're one unit where if you talk to Black America, you talk to all of them, or Black America likes this and they all like it. They've let themselves believe that stereotype and that putting them in a box is reality, and it's not. There's Black Americans all across the spectrum. Poor, rich, smart, stupid, dumb. They're everywhere. They're smart. They're completely the entire spectrum. And the reason that this rubs so many people the wrong way is when you stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, it's not, and the national anthem rather, it's not about white America, Black America. It's about America. We're essentially on the same team. And you've stepped away from that because America is so bad. Now, that's all right if it's true, but there's no evidence whatsoever that that's true in the slightest. There's no country in the world where it's better to be any type of person than in America. So, it's a real shame that he's doing this, but honestly, I think it has to do more about spinning the political narrative than it actually has to do with Black Lives Matters or any of that kind of stuff. And I think it's going to come out eventually. It's very similar. Do you remember the Jonathan Martin bullying story from a couple years ago?
I think it may have to do with something by the name of Richie Incognito, if that's what you're talking about. Correct.
So for our listeners out there who I know a lot of them aren't big sports guys, so I'll break it down for you. Richie Incognito was an offensive lineman on the Dolphins at the time, and so was this guy named Jonathan Martin. And then there was a big scandal that Jonathan Martin couldn't come to practice anymore, and he stopped coming to games and stopped showing up because he was getting bullied by Richie Incognito. And the media killed him and blah, blah, blah. Richie Incognito ended up getting cut over it anyway. But, then it was the whole national story of, is bullying, look at bullying's a real problem, blah, 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 blah. But when you actually, and there's a Sports Illustrated article about this that's really good. If you actually draw down on it, what really happened was Jonathan Martin was going to get cut. And if he would have gotten cut, he would have not made any of that money. But he wasn't cut. He was put on like a pub sort of list, like a reserve, injured type list. Like the same kind of list they would put you on if, like, say, bereavement, like someone in your family died. They put him on one of those lists, and he ended up getting 7 more game checks, and then eventually cut. So he lost his starter's job. He was on the bench. He was going to get cut, and his agent said, "Hey, listen, do some bullshit. You'll get the rest of your game checks, bada bing." But instead of that just being, like a thing, instead of him just doing this and it being his way to cheat the system, the media picked up on it and it became like a national story. In reality, Jonathan Martin and Rich Incognito are both adults, and they're both 300-pound men. Why is he bullying you? And if you actually went through their Instagram accounts, for people who were bullies, quote unquote, they hung out all the time outside of football. So, I just, it's one of those things where an athlete, because we're so absorbed with sports in this country, when athletes do stupid things, we sort of we overweight it. We make it a bigger deal than it is. In reality, Colin Kaepernick's just an idiot who's trying to, get leverage against a new regime in there. So the 49ers organization has a really bad taste in their mouth with Colin Kaepernick because they traded away Alex Smith because they thought he was the savior. He's done nothing but regress the last couple of years. They've had a whole change of regime now, and he's sort of like left on the curb, and he's probably going to get cut. But now when he gets cut, he can go, that's racist, blah, 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 blah. It's a real shame, and I actually feel bad for 49er fans who have to deal with the circus and nonsense which this is going to be, because that's what they're going to talk about instead of actually about football. But, the 49ers were so bad last year, maybe it's good to talk about something else other than this shit team.
Well, the thing is about Colin Kaepernick, if he wants to express his opinion, that's the First Amendment protected. But in terms of 49er fans, they've been treated like garbage. And obviously, it's not good for their franchise's reputation, obviously, considering that the fact that they used to be one of the premier franchises in the NFL.
Yeah, they, listen, 2-3 years ago, well, maybe about 3 years ago, they were in the NFC Championship game. They made a lot of wrong decisions. They tied themselves to this kid who is, incredibly talented physically, but, he has a real problem between the ears. He's a dumbass. And, it's the short success of stupid that would tell you to sit on the bench. Because this isn't like, there was a unarmed black man killed in San Francisco, and as a protest, he sat on the bench. There was nothing like that. There was no spark that lit this up. He's just like, grasping for attention at this point. And then, now I'm reading stories about it. Apparently he's, big into Black Lives Matters now because his girlfriend is some like big Black Lives Matters DJ or some nonsense. And, then he converted to Islam over the summer. So who knows what he's trying to do, like to reinvent himself for after sports or whatever. But, I just find it so humorous that these, Black Lives Matters idiots are out protesting all the time and blah, 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 blah. Even though they don't have a single problem with the fact that more people have been killed in Chicago than in Iraq and Afghanistan since the start of President Obama's second term. But whatever. So, maybe that they can't protest every crime. But, you see this huge tragedy down in Baton Rouge after this, flooding, and it's really bad. And, it's very similar to what we dealt with after Hurricane Sandy. How come you don't see Black Lives Matter down there handing out food or helping when you have literally millions of black people in distress?
Well, right now, I'm looking through the comments, obviously, and keep commenting on the UCY.TV chat. And you're probably going to disagree with this guy, and I might as well. Matty Clue said about Kaepernick, he's using his position to make a statement, and it is detrimental to his image, and I applaud him.
It's detrimental to his image on a national scale. Like, he's obviously not going to get endorsements because he's toxic now. But if he was trying to get his way out of town, he just did it. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
And that's the thing. The media has a short, a real short memory. He's not going to get endorsements because brands will stay away from him because he's toxic. You don't know what he's going to say, and you don't want your brand associated with a guy like that. But on the same note, listen, Michael Vick got arrested for dog fighting, and they let him back in the league. So if you can play, they'll let you play. But as far as his image, I think his image is took a real hard hit, and it's short-sighted.
Definitely. I think his public reputation is over.
Absolutely. Now look at, like, when you do the right thing in our society, you get rewarded. But people hate that. They think that there's some sort of like comeuppance, like they deserve something or whatever. But in reality is, if you do the right thing and you keep your nose clean and you thank people for, and you make the most out of the best opportunities you get, our society really does promote you up. I think a great example of that is Michael Strahan. The guy was a great football player. He never got arrested. There was no nonsense. Obviously he's charismatic and funny and really likable. And now he's on TV like 6 days a week. Like, you didn't count, and he's selling us Subway sandwiches and all kinds of stuff. You know, he's going to be extremely wealthy the rest of his life.
Well,
Colin
we got
Kaepernick could have been like that.
We got a comment from Otto saying toxic as compared to a guy that sells more jerseys and tickets. And Black Lives Matter, ding for the Baton Rouge, because it's hard to loot underwater.
Well, yeah, they can't.
By the way, I was checking Facebook when I was in Connecticut because, you know, I do have time to check Facebook when I'm on my leisure time, and there were a lot of Obama playing golf memes as the flooding in Baton Rouge was happening. So I was very amused by those.
Because here's the thing, the media is, you know, like we were talking about earlier, incredibly biased. So when Senator Obama at the time, in 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, one of the things that made him really popular, you know, other than speaking at the DNC, was he was really killing Bush for flying over, you know, the Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina and not going there. And the media like picked it up and ran with it, and they really killed him. It was really bad. I don't know if you remember that, but it was really terrible. They really went crazy, and you know, and then it was the whole thing with Kanye West. George Bush doesn't care about black people, so it was like a really big deal. The media cycled through with the story, you know, quite a bit, and it's Obama was really at the heart of it. Fast forward 11 years, the same area is hit with a flood. You know, it's all over again. You know, very much repeat, and the guy's in Martha Vineyard, you know, golfing. And then the one break he does take from golfing, he goes to a fundraiser event with Hillary. Like, never in my life have I ever seen a sitting president try for, you know, campaign for someone in his party this way. It's insane. Like, do you remember George Bush running around like this for John McCain in 2008? Like,
I don't even remember it. No.
He didn't. He didn't at all. Like, and I understand that, you know, at the time George Bush wasn't popular, so it would have been toxic or blah, 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 whatever. But I've just never seen it before. Flying around a candidate on Air Force One, going to all these crazy fundraisers, and then the guy's golfing and can't be bothered to go down to Louisiana until Trump goes down there and basically shames him into doing it. And then, you know, what else is he doing? Oh, he's also pardoning all these people and letting them out of jail, you know, all these drug offenders because, you know, they were sentenced over, you know, harsh sentencing, blah, 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 blah. And then the media finds out that some of the people he released actually had gun convictions. But I thought you hate guns. I thought guns were magically bad, Brock. But, you know, I guess it's, you know, say as I do as I say, not as I do.
Oh, boy. Sorry to interrupt you there for a sec, but I just saw an amazing play from Ichiro Suzuki. Granderson hit a 3-2 pitch to center field, and Ichiro, right at the wall, just made an amazing catch.
Nice. So, great question. Ichiro, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
I think he should be, because I'm looking at this catch, and wow. They just showed an accurate camera angle on SNY. I finally found the stream, thank goodness. I cannot believe, right at the wall, robbed a home run from Curtis Granderson.
You know what? I have to agree. Normally, I think that the Japanese numbers that these people play, that, you know, like, you know, Kaz Matsui and stuff, you know, I think the Japanese league's bullshit. But I've seen Ichiro play in person. I actually went to Sefco Field out in Seattle once. But I've seen him play in person. The guy is that good. He really is. And that 262 hits in a single season, that is phenomenal. You know, now he's what, 42, 43 years old? He's still doing it. He was Rookie of the Year. He led the league in hits a bunch of times. He plays, you know, great outfield. I have to say he's probably the first Japanese-born Hall of Famer. I guess we'll have to see, though.
He has to be. And for people who are keeping an eye on the game, who, you know, are curious, Jay Bruce is 2 for 2 tonight. So that's an interesting statistic for a guy who really wasn't hitting.
I'm shocked. So, Andrew, I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but on Saturday, I went to the Saturday day game, and the lineup that the Mets put out on that Saturday was disgrazia. Like, the lineup just stunk. It had no Cespedes, no Neil Walker. It was just garbage. Like, ugh. I was like, ugh. So, anyway, the new young guy with long hair, I forget his name, he pitched really good 6 innings. Terry sticks with him in the 7th. He ends up loading the bases, no out. They bring out Robles. Robles just gets lit up, and we end up losing to the crappy Phillies 5-1.
Well, that's inexcusable considering that I mentioned it on the pre-show. They are in a very closely contested wild card race right now.
How much different do you think this team would be with Daniel Murphy on it? Let me look that up.
Oh boy, I honestly think that they would have one of the wild cards right now at this point.
So, I don't know if you know this. Daniel Murphy is one of my favorite baseball players. He was one of my favorite Mets for a long, long time. I'm a real big fan of the guy. So let's read I'm going to read you his numbers. I just looked them up on baseballreference.com. So far this year, he has 162 hits, 38 doubles, 5 triples, 25 home runs, 98 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 31 walks, and he's batting .344. He's going to be the MVP this year, and we didn't re-sign him. Why?
I'm sorry for the inappropriate laughter, but Ron Darling has an umbrella over him right now.
Oh, holy shit. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
I can go look out my window if I wanted to, but I can't, because then I'd have to put the mic down, and that would be embarrassing. Oh, let's see what's going to happen. Foul.
Is it raining?
Hang on. You try to entertain the audience as you can for a sec.
All right, so I know there are not a lot of baseball people listening, so I'll try to steer the conversation away from that. But I gotta really give it to Trump. I've been a big Trump supporter for.
Wait a minute, it is raining a little bit. It's drizzling. So
he maybe the game will get rained out.
Oh, I hope not. I hope not, because I could already tell Gary Cohen has an umbrella over him right now.
Yep, that's it.
All right, so what were you saying about Trump?
Oh, so I was saying about Trump is his recent outreach to the African American community in America has given me like a whole new like outlook. It's made me so much more ambitious. Like the crime and the poverty in our inner cities has been something that's been around my entire life. So I just it was like one of the bad things about living in America that you couldn't really some cities were good, some cities were bad, and they're just bad. Nothing you can do about it. His plans really make a ton of sense, and it actually gives an opportunity to do something about it instead of just letting it fester and get worse. I don't know about you. Did you go to school in Long Island? But I went to New York City public schools, and I can tell you, they're terrible. They suck.
I've been to New York City public schools as well. They are terrible. They're completely terrible. And
so now we get somebody in the inner city. They can't afford private school, so they go to public school. They go to shitty schools, and their lot in life is little to no education, and the cycle just starts all over again. So when parents are involved and they want to send their kid to a better school and they want to get some sort of voucher to send them there, do you know who's pushing back on that? It's the teachers union, because what will happen is the teachers union is incredibly strong. So these teachers, even if they get convicted of molesting kids or they're doing drugs, they cannot get fired. They go to something called the rubber room, where they literally show up Monday through Friday, sit in some freaking room, hang out and read the paper, and then they go home at the end of the day. Because the union's so strong, it's almost impossible to fire bad teachers, even when they're criminal. So now we have a union that literally, there's no new teachers coming in because it's like this secret society, skull and bones. And if you let people in the inner city do something like a voucher program, what will happen is there won't be enough students in these shit schools, and the shit schools get their funding from the federal government depending on how many students are in the classes. So when the number of students go down, the number of funding goes down, and then the teachers make less money. So you actually have to only pay teachers who are actually physically in the classroom. And maybe you'd actually have to, be good at your job or you'll get fired. When anyone, and millennials are terrible about this, they want more government. The government should do this, the government should do that. I was in the Marine Corps. I can tell you right now, the government sucks at running anything. If you want the government to run your health care or run anything, go down to the DMV, take a nice look around, and say, do I want these people running my health care? Do I want these people running anything in my life? Because that's exactly who government workers are. They do the bare minimum, and you can't fire them. It doesn't matter how bad they are.
Exactly. And thing I warn about all the time is, you can't let the government completely run your life. That is what Ronald Reagan said when he was president. But in terms of, low-income black families, and again, I don't specifically say African American because there are other black people, obviously, in this country.
Sure.
There are low-income black people. Okay, overall, they've been hurt by Democratic policies. Overall, either it would be food stamps, Medicaid. And keep in mind, I don't call it Obamacare. I actually call it Pelosi care because Pelosi said, we have to pass the bill so you can see what's in it. I swear. Liberal socialism is the disease in this country. And that's what Michael Savage, a man who I praise a lot because he's promoting the message of truth, obviously, for 3 hours a day, talks about all the time. And I completely have to agree with Donald Trump said. You're living a shitty life, you're low income, what do you have to lose to try to become middle class? Now, it's 8:57, obviously, so before John decides to rant before the music plays, I'm at Andy's Randomness, and John, give out your Twitter handle, please.
So I'm at SI_sports. The show official Twitter account, which you guys can check out, is spam_UCYTV, which is kind of cool. Nick is at Nick_Durst. And then essentially you'll find, if you find any of our Twitter accounts, you'll find the rest of us. We're always tweeting and live tweeting and whatnot, and essentially arguing about Trump and sports.
And just remember, the Trump speech is starting in less than 3 minutes, so I will closely be paying attention to it, obviously.
Yep.
Oh, boy, the Marlins tied the game on 1 home run. Unbelievable.
Ugh. All right, so everybody out there, follow us on Twitter. Check us out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for getting us in the chat. And Andrew, I will see you tomorrow for pizza in Midtown.
All right, I'll see you in Midtown tomorrow, Don.
All right, great. Thanks, man. So now that we're about to die off, if anybody out there wants a schedule to be on the show, please send us a tweet or comment on the Facebook page. We'll see you there. We'll see you around. Have a good night. Why isn't the music starting? Maybe my clock is running long. Andrew, you still there?
We technically have 1 more minute left to kill.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, what are you going to order from pizza tomorrow?
I was hoping that I would get a Sicilian slice.
I like
square pizza slice. I want one badly. It's $3. I want it.
Yeah, I think I might get some Sicilian too. Maybe we can get like a small pie.